Good evening and welcome back to the Men's European Cup. I am Captain Malice. Alongside me is Bulldog, and we're about to go ahead with the final of the 2014 Men's European Cup between South Wales Silers and Southern Discomfort Roller Derby. Good afternoon, Bulldog. Okay, as you can maybe see, there's people getting ready on the track now. If you've seen Southern Discomfort, they like to do their team chat at the jam line, gets them a nice advantageous position before we start. We are about 1 minute away from the first whistle. Now, if you haven't been following us, South Wales played they played first thing yesterday morning, beating Lincolnshire Roaring Thunder. Then played the Quad Guards at 9 AM this morning and beat the Quad Guards. Southern Discomfort, however, they started yesterday at 1 o'clock, beating the Crash Test Bummies. Then playing Time of Fear at 11 o'clock this morning, beating them. And that's the route both teams have taken to the final. Ben Twilley in number 36 lining up against Mr. Furio in number 13 for Southern Discomfort. First jam, handing over to Bulldog.
And an empty penalty box.
And an empty penalty box.
That is the joke. There have been a lot of penalties in previous games. Let's hope we can break that streak. Right now we've got Ben Twilley jamming for the South Wales Silers in the gray. Up front, Mr. Furio breaks free, gets past Chronic and Matt Lovin, completing his initial pass, gets lead jammer.
Thumbs up to the bench there from Furio.
Oh, little hop across the infield, and it gets Mr. Furio out of the pack through his first scoring pass. Grand slam. But there goes Ben Twilley giving chase to Mr. Furio. The pack moving briskly around, moving into turn one. Mr. Furio is going to go ahead and call off the jam. Settle for a 5-point differential. So Southern Discomfort drawing first blood. South Wales still has yet to get on the board.
These teams have a lot of familiar faces. You have friends from national teams and former skaters. Little John of the South Wales Silers used to skate for Southern Discomfort, as Reaper lines up against, I believe that is 254, the Machinist.
The Machinist diving right in, ramming into Flat Track Bully, gets stopped by Sam Droid on the outside, and Spectral Aberration a little on the inside. Reaper looking for that inside lane, runs into Clark, dives right out to the outside and forced out of bounds. Hayes drawing him back to the jammer line.
Yeah, Roll Call doing some fantastic work. Two-knot Reaper out of play, the corner one.
The Machinist getting lead jammer, so it looks like South Wales will get on the board in this jam. Machinist ducking low, looking for the outside lane, gets caught by Roland Stoner and Spectral Aberration of Southern Discomfort. They get him out of bounds. He's going to call off the jam. Reaper just reaches the back of the pack, but not quite enough to get any points before that fourth whistle. 2 points for Wales.
The Iron Man lining up against Nanaki here at the jam line. X111 versus FE26. In that lane one for the Silers, you have Little John, formerly of Southern Discomfort. 2x4 for all who's watching at home.
5-on-5. Nanaki runs into a 3-wall. Matt Lovin on the outside. Elderly on the inside. Neil Lotto and Chronic guarding the center. A fierce battle up front. Nanaki leaning into those inverted blocks. Chronic with some shoulder checks. Knocks Nanaki out of bounds briefly. Now comes back in. Matt Lovin picks him up. Runs him to the outside. But Nanaki dodges to the inside. Slips through the Wales defense. And he is lead jammer. The Yayun man making another run at the pack, knocks over Sutton Impact. Not an easy thing to do. Must have caught Sutton Impact off balance right then. But the Yayun man knocked out by Blitzkrieg. Comes back in. Blitzkrieg stepped out. The Yayun man gets a no pass, no penalty. He's free and clear. Nanaki having a lot of trouble completing this scoring pass. He's going to call it off before Yayun man can get in, though, and settle for just 2. That was a nice defense by Wales.
Piston broke heading there to the bin. Iron that game for a cut track. Little John also following him in there. Fantastic work. Now it's going to be 3-on-3 here as Ballistic Whistle number MI6 face off against number 19 for the Silers. That's Farron Samity. Both teams here with a pretty much a 4-jammer rotation. Nice and deep, which has done them really well this tournament.
Ballistic Whistle, always a dynamic jammer. Back and forth across the track. Moves to the inside, shuffled to the outside by roll call, but manages to stay in, gets lead jammer. That's 3 out of 4 so far, lead jammers for Southern Discomfort. Ballistic Whistle on his first scoring pass, but roll call almost gets him out. But Ballistic Whistle somehow staying inbounds on his toe stops and then blasts forward, gets the grand slam. That's 1 scoring pass. Farron Samiti, the jammer for Wales, still on his initial pass, running into Piston, Broke, Roland Stoner, and Flat Track Bully as Ballistic Whistle at the back of the pack on his second scoring pass. Farron Samiti is free, but Ballistic Whistle sees him in plenty of time. He's asking for 4 points. Jam referee says, no, you only got 2. No, excuse me, 3. That's 1 ghost point for roll call in the penalty box. That was a second scoring pass, by the way. He already had a grand slam. 8 points total. 8 points that clear.
Yeah, Furo lining up here against number 36, which is Ben Twilley. Mr. Twilley here taking a step back, going for a bit of push on Furio.
Monsieur Furio rockets off the jammer line, getting some help from Blitzkrieg. Dodges around Chronic. Too fast for Chronic and Lil Jon, trying to catch him in turn 1. Monsieur Furio's lead jammer. But there goes Ben Twilley through the pack. He's not going to give it up his jammer point this time. Monsieur Furio on the scoring pass. Lil Jon catches him with a shoulder in turn 3. Monsieur Furio going out of bounds, calls off the jam and gives a high five to Lil Jon. That's some sportsmanship and respect between some great athletes out there.
Well, as I said, they're former teammates as well when they used to play together for Southern Discomfort. Fantastic show by both skaters there. Excellent work by the Siler blocker. Now you may hear some shouts of swoos from the crowd. That is not booing. Swoos is the acronym for the South Wales Silers, and that is what their fans love to drone out.
Swoos. Finch of Fury knocked out of bounds by Flat Track Bully as Reaper just spits out of the pack. He's lead jammer. Southern Discomfort very consistent. Only 1 lead jammer so far has gone to Wales, and Reaper just too fast. Roll call trying to catch him, but Reaper just slips right by. Grand slam for Southern Discomfort. Finch of Fury at the front of the pack. Spectral Aberration and Roland Stoner and Sam Droid up front, holding on. Flat Track Bully bridging, and Reaper is going to leap across his own teammates, Roland Stoner, to get by.
Reaper here has some history with the South Wales Silers. The last time they played each other at a Men's European Roller Derby Championships, he got a bad injury that has not healed fully for a fair while. Oh,
Jam is still on. Reaper.
Jam still on. Confusion all around as he goes to the bin.
He thought he got through clean, but no, the jam ref says, no, you touched out of bounds and came back in without recycling. Recycling is important for the planet. So that means it's a power jam for Finch of Fury. Finch of Fury going far forward. I'm not even sure where the pack is right now. There it is. There was no pack, actually. So... And there's that out of play call on Flat Track Bully. I don't think anyone in the front section. It was a forearm. Okay, I saw the arm go up. I didn't see the other arm grabbing it. But Finch of Fury, though, held back by Roland Stoner, finally gets through. But this is a grand slam. But that was enough time for Reaper to get out of the pack, and he's going to match 4 of those points.
I don't know if you can tell at home, but Reaper here is playing very, very hard. He's here to put down a statement, I feel. There's anger in that man's face as he skates, but he's coming out with some wild abandon, some solid hits, aggression, and really looking for a big score, I feel, here from Reaper.
Okay, well, speaking of score, I'm looking at the scoreboard, and I only see a score of 1 scoring pass. I'm certain that Reaper got through twice, at least. But well, I'm sure that'll get. That's probably my mistake. I'm probably misinterpreting what I see on the scoreboard. So the score now 33-7. Southern Discomfort in the lead. Yayun Man getting past Piston Broke as Piston Broke sent off to the penalty box. He's going to be sitting there by himself. Started out with an empty penalty box. Nanaki knocked out of bounds. Matt Lovin drawing him back behind the pivot line. There goes Yayun Man on a scoring pass. Sudden impact with his patented inverted shoulder check, that seal clubbing, that is his signature move. Now comes forward, hits Yayun Man from the back, but Yayun Man goes forward, gets the grand slam.
That inverted shoulder check blocking that Sutton has been so famous for is also a skill of C4 Chronic. As you see there at corner 3, he knocks Nanaki off track, and Matt Lovin again dragging the the jammer back. And as we see a star pass to Piston Broke, second one he's received today as he gets knocked off track by Matt Lovin at corner 2.
Yeah, he's certainly not the only one who does it, but he does it with such panache. He's made it all his own.
it is his forte.
Piston Broke the pivot, taking over as jammer, falling down over Neil Hilado. Neil Hilado gets the technical low block. And that's going to be 3 blockers sent in. Lil Jon's going to be waved off from the penalty box. Sorry, 3 blockers for Wales sent into the penalty box. So Lil Jon will be a must skate. He owes a penalty.
We have been corrected on our pronunciation. There is no W in Soos. It is like an S and then many O's. So it is Soos, not Swoos. So there we go. That's come from Behair Wolf. And yeah, that is the Iron Man as well. We did clarify that with the Iron Man earlier today, to be very clear. Iron Man is the correct pronunciation.
All right, well, glad to have that correction. The important thing is they're not booing, they're swooing. Soosing, or maybe soosing. The machinist gives a shoulder to Roland Stoner, gets through. But Ballistic Whistle is going to call it off. 4 points for Southern Discomfort.
You can see Little John very angry with what happened there. He's had to go to the bin so that many. I think he meant, no, sorry, not angry. I think he was very happy he managed to knock Ballistic off track and cheering himself on, but still had to serve the penalty. But there he goes, sitting down, as Matt Lovin and Neil Hilado both standing as Chronic all on his lonesome against Furio and 3 Southern Discomfort blockers.
So Chronic all by himself against Monsieur Furio right now, where it's now Matt Lovin's is back in, trying to help out his jammer. Monsieur Furio makes short work of Chronic. Lead jammer for Southern Discomfort once again. Monsieur Furio around the outside. Neil Hilado was trying to catch him, but sudden impact puts a stop to that dream. Monsieur Furio gets through for 4. Ben Twilly was able to get out in time to not give up his jammer point. But Monsieur Furio calling it off. 4 points for Southern Discomfort. Donut for Wales.
Shroom's not happy initially at that illegal engagement by Matt Lovin after the 4th whistle, but shake of the hands and it's all okay. Ballistic Whistle here calming down his teammate Shrooms. Excellent skater. Originally coming from Halifax Skate Full Dead. He'd been skating roller derby for 2 whole weeks before his first game. True story. I skated with him in that game. Great fun.
Who were you talking about?
That was 1-up Shrooms for Southern Discomfort.
Ah, okay. You know, I remember the first time I saw Reaper skate, and I believe that was the first men's European roller derby championship, and he got so many penalties he didn't need to, but it blew everyone's mind with just how agile and fast a skater he was. So even though he barely knew the rules, he was still one of the best jammers out on the track.
Robert Quadriguez sitting at home. He says, I love Matt Lovin, and there are 5, count them, 5 kisses, followed by Hashtag so lovely. Hashtag much block. Hashtag wow. Who doesn't love Matt Lovin? He has been on fire for SWS all weekend. Now, as you can probably see, there is a huddle of zebras having a conversation. We're having an official review. You can see Southern Impact and Neil Halado waiting for the response. As soon as we get an answer from the announcer referee, we will let you know what's going on. Farron Samedi is getting in little circles at the back of the pack, trying to keep himself entertained. Fury and Reaper are discussing tactics, probably about which way to dance the most elegantly and with most agility to show off their amazing skills the most. Who knows? But they're having a lovely chat. I mean, both teams have pretty much four deep rosters of jammers, and the scary thing is Southern Discomfort can put forward Furor, Reaper, Ballistic, and Nanaki. And all of them would walk into most first teams. They are fantastic jammers, and that is their 4-jammer rotation of what is, quite frankly, the most frightening jammer rotation we probably have in European Derby. So Discomfort here leading 41-14. Let's have a quick look at Twitter. Let's have some big love from Emma Warsome and a hug to the Derby daughter Smashlin. Tell her that we can hear her, and what we can hear of it sounds fab. Smashlin has been working very hard. She's currently working the in-house feed with the lovely Deliverance from Scotland. They're doing a nice little redneck get up, lots of denim, lots of trucker hats. They're having fun out here, keeping the crowd entertained. Big shout out from Tiger Bay as well to all the rest of NSOs, especially those who NSO for all Tiger Bay. They don't have to be impartial. They love their NSOs. Who doesn't love NSOs? Everyone should love their NSOs and their officials. Without them, we're just people skating around in a circle with no one really knowing what to do.
Well, the referees would be doing bad disco dancing, essentially, on the inside of a ring of other skaters who are beating the crap out of each other, but it would all come to naught.
Sorry, one of Manchester's referees, Scarbrella, who has been working here this weekend, has worked out the song by Agadoo, push by. Nope, must be an English thing, Mr. Bulldog.
I think it is.
But basically, it's a song that has a dance, much like the Macarena or something, but with referee hand signals only. You can complete all elements of that dance. It's fantastic. It's been her pet project for quite a while. You can't see it. Bulldog is currently seeing if the cut track and the low block skating out of bounds look fine for a dance move. Possibly not when Bulldog does them. We're still waiting on the response from the referees here to find out what's going on with that official review.
Official review requested by Southern Discomfort.
Looks like it's going to be referee Righteous Oxide coming back with the information, I think.
Well, there are no Southern Discomfort skaters in the penalty box.
No one's being told to go to the penalty box either currently. So unless it's going to be something that Cherry Fury has to do herself, there's probably not going to be much change here.
And the score has not changed. Still a palindrome.
41-14.
And yes, in some circles there is a drinking game where you drink the beverage of your choice. You know, orange juice or milk.
I'm quite a fan of water today.
Maybe some sparkling water.
Oh, of course.
Or something, and you know, so so whenever there's a palindrome, you hydrate. It's
probably
important
an excellent
because it's important.
Of course, hydration is key here, especially when watching roller derby, because it is tiring to watch roller derby.
Oh dear, that does not look good. Well, it looks perfectly all right.
Love it being ejected here.
But yeah, when you see that, that means that Matt Lovin, well, you can't see it on the screen right now, but Matt Lovin, one of the key blockers for Wales, appears to be being ejected. Oh, sorry, expelled. We're
going to have to wait till we hear from announcer referee Righteous Oxide to find out what that impact that's going to have. Roll Call, who at times could be considered the beating heart of the South Wales Silers, does not look pleased at seeing this happen. He understands it's going to be difficult for his team.
What?
Just be careful of the wires just behind you.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're still waiting for the exact reason why Matt Lovin was expelled, but right now Reaper getting lead jammer right just off the first whistle. Farron Samidi drives his shoulder, finds the inside lane, but Reaper follows him right out of the pack and gets 4 points. And now getting past Farron Samidi, that means this is likely to be a 5-point pass. Oh, to the outside of Lil Jon, caught by Roll Call at the top of turn 3. Farron Samidi gets all the way through. He's going to get 4, but as I suspected, Reaper getting 5. He got that lap point as he was approaching the pack for the jammer, and then got all 4. So a 9-4 jam for Southern Discomfort.
Still waiting for confirmation on the expulsion for Matt Lovin. Looks like there's a bit of flare, tempers, and attitude on track. Nothing going to be spilling out too far, but something to watch out for as Nanaki takes a stumble as he engages the South Wales Silers blockers at the front of the back.
The Yayun man is going against Sutton Impact. Sutton Impact sent off to the penalty box. That opens the door for Yayun man to get through. He gets lead jammer. Then Naki on the outside of the track, picking himself back up. The jammer for Southern Discomfort slowly recycling back. The Yayun man now on a scoring pass on one leg, stays in bounds after a hit from Shrooms. Blitzkrieg and Shrooms working together. Shrooms all over the place, gets the Yayun man to the inside. He's got to recycle.
Little John doing great work there to stop Shrooms running the Yayun man further back. He's really going to have to put a shift in for his team here with them losing Matt Lovin. Confirmation that was expulsion for blocking after the whistle was upgraded to an expulsion. That was the blocking after the whistle on one-up Shrooms.
And so that is cleared up. Matt Lovin won't be rejoining us, but Nanaki getting pounded, getting absolutely hammered on in the pack. He's going to pass the start to Piston Broke. That's a skater who can take a few hits and keep on going. But Neil Hilado is just going to get in position. Little seal clubbing from Piston Broke. He's not going to take that positional block from Neil Hilado and just lean into it. He's going to hammer back, but he gets knocked down by Chronic. So still on his initial pass.
There's a theory in that other sport, that is football, that when a team loses a player, they up their game as a team to compensate. And right now we're seeing that from the South Wales Silers. They have lost Matt Lovin and they are up in their game. The blocks are coming in thicker, they're coming in harder, and they're coming in with more precision. They're doing their best to slow down this offense and this jammer power coming from Southern Discomfort. End of the jam there. Points going up on the board. Southern Discomfort on 52. South Wales on 23. That's who's 23.
Yayun man getting a score of 5 for the jam, but 2 points for Southern Discomfort.
The guys at Sue's here know they already had an uphill climb at the start of this game, and losing Matt Lovin, who has been so fantastic for them this weekend, means they're going to really struggle here.
The machinist jamming for the South Wales Silers in the gray. Ballistic whistle in the black for Southern Discomfort to the outside. The roll call is there with a shoulder check waiting for him. Now Clark and roll call, double team and ballistic whistle, but he's too fast on the outside. Gets through for lead. Roll call gets a penalty.
The machinist sent to the box there, I believe, for a forearms penalty. He's standing stern. Little John now standing. He's got less than 10 seconds. Ballistic loses his footing and goes out on the outside.
Now it looked a lot like ballistic whistle from this angle, which is a poor angle because they're on the opposite side. It looked to me like ballistic whistle had stepped in with both feet, which would have been a cut track. But the referee saw it clearer than I did. So while I was waiting for that cut track call, it did not come. So it was not. He did not step in. But here he is on another scoring pass. Gets by Little John, slips between two of his teammates, completes the pass for 5. The machinist gets sent back to the penalty box on a cutting the track. So it's going to be yet another power jam. 2 power jams in this one for Ballistic Whistle.
Big hit we saw there from birthday boy number 14, Sam Droid. He's turned 28 today, and he put the hit on the pivot there. That is roll call.
This is the 3rd scoring pass for Ballistic Whistle, and he is not happy. Roll call obviously causing some frustration. Ballistic Whistle usually able to get by, just a slippery sucker right there. Number M16 for Southern Discomfort, but he does get all 5 in the 3rd scoring pass, a total of 15 for the men in black.
Monsieur Furo, number 13 for Southern Discomfort, lined up to jam. The timeout is called by Jukebox. Now we are 18 minutes, well, just shy of 18 minutes into the game, and Southern Discomfort only able to score 67 points. Now, if you've been watching all this weekend, by this prime, Southern Discomfort usually on 100 points or so. This has been some excellent work by Seuss to slow down the onslaught of Southern Discomfort. Now, you may be able to hear that noise from the crowd. This is, of course, this is a UK crowd, and most UK crowds will always support the underdog if they have no other affiliation. Big cheers from all the teams here for everything the Seuss are doing.
All right, 12 minutes remaining in the first half, and I'm just glancing over at the penalty board. Not too many penalties out there. Worst penalties other than the expulsion. The worst penalty is Lil John with 4. Southern Discomfort has 1, that's Spectral Aberration with 3. That is their top penalty dog.
Just a tweet here from Blunderbolt. Was that a premature ejection? Well, the assessment on that ejection was the contact after the whistle may have been egregious. So that's a situation that is have to be upgraded to an expulsion. That's come from Blunderbolt. And Marie LM, Stoner and Shrooms killing it. Good luck from Yorkshire Tripper and Big Don. Wholeheartedly agreed. Stoner and Shrooms are on fire right now.
Mr. Fiorio trying to get past all 4 of the Silier's blockers. Elderly trying to draw the cut, but Mr. Fiorio scrambled back in too fast. Now he's got a 3-wall. Oh, gets knocked out of bounds by Ben Twilley, but Ben Twilley sent to the penalty box. But Mr. Fiorio nevertheless drawn back to the rear of the pack by Neil Hilado. Comes back in, steps out of bounds, twists back around, rams his shoulder into Elderly. The jukes to the inside of him, dodges to the outside of Neil Hilado, and gets away from Elderly, who tried to catch him going into turn 3. He is lead jammer, just like that, from the back of the pack to the front of the pack. The machinist getting the similar treatment from Southern Discomfort, still on his initial pass, and now at the back of the pack. Shrooms sending him out of bounds again. Mr. Fiorio getting through a little easier this time. Neil Hilado giving him some trouble in turn 4, but that's a grand slam. No, sorry, only 4 points on that first scoring pass. Mr. Fiorio just running around, doing a slalom run back and forth across the track, and now gets the grand slam. 5 points for that second scoring pass. Third scoring pass, avoids a hip check from Ben Twilley, dodges around Elderly, rams into Chronic, who stops him in his tracks. Now Elderly and Neil Hilado making it a 3-wall, but Neil Hilado unable to stop him on the inside. Mr. Fiorio gets a second grand slam, total of 14 so far. 3 scoring passes, and the machinist getting shut down by Southern Discomfort's blockers.
101 Blitzkrieg going to the bin there for a blocking out of bounds. He followed through on, I think it might have been Ben Twilley, no, it was machinist, far off blocking him onto the infield. Terry Fury indicating the penalty there quite quickly.
17 points total for Mr. Fiorio.
South Wales, after the early resurgence, should I say, after Matt Lovin's expulsion, are now starting to slow down their ability to stop the onslaught from Southern Discomfort's jammers.
Blitzkrieg in the penalty box for Southern Discomfort, so 4-on-3 pack advantage for the Silers. And that was the majority vote. There's actually if you ask any random person on the South Wales team, they'll tell you a slightly different pronunciation, but the majority vote was for Silers.
I go with Seuss. It's just safer.
It's a bit safer.
That's not. I can pronounce that one. It's fine.
Yeah, there were actually 4 different pronunciations. It's Silurs, Silliers, Silers, and Silers.
It's all the subtlety of the vowel sounds, as it is probably with most of the Welsh language. Not one I'm unfortunately not very familiar with. Bit of a conflab there at the pivot line between the captains and head ref Cherry Fury. Doesn't appear that anything's changed though, so I'm assuming that nothing's come of it.
Well, actually, from what I've heard about the Welsh language, all 4 pronunciations are correct.
Like I said, not even in my language repertoire. Max at the stealth cow. Come on, SDRD.
Reaper leaning into the wall and finds a chink in the armor, gets through. He's lead. Barons and Meaty stopped by Flat Track Bully and Roland Stoner back and forth across the track as Reaper does a flash move on the outside. Just ducks under a shoulder check from one of a wall of 3 and gets through, gets a grand slam. Barons and Meaty finally breaks free of the pack, completing his initial pass, but Reaper's just going to slip into the back of the pack, but doesn't pass any of the SWS.
No W, it's Seuss.
Seuss, sorry, Seuss. I'm gonna go with Silers.
Whatever you feel comfortable with, Mr. Bulldog.
So 5-0 in that jam for Reaper.
Seuss yet to score for a little while. Spectral Aberration and Roll Call, you can see on your screen, sat in the bin. Getting a little bit of a rest for their naughty behavior. The Iron Man trying to find some space here past Shrooms, Sutton and Piston Broke.
Sutton impact not forcing him out of bounds, but Yayu Man coming right back in. This time Shrooms gets him out of bounds and draws him back to the jammer line as Ballistic Whistle gets away from Neil Hilado, the last line of defense for Wales. He's lead jammer now on his first scoring pass. Slams into Ben Twilly to the inside of Chronic. Chronic makes contact but can't get Ballistic Whistle out of bounds. He's going to get a grand slam. The Yayun man going to the penalty box on a blocking with the head. Blocking with the head on the Silers jammer.
Roll Call and Piston Broke sharing some words there in the infield after Piston Broke took Roll Call out of play. Now Roll Call going in with some big impacting hits on Sutton Impact, and this is going to be some interesting combat there between those two gentlemen.
And Ballistic Whistle going up the outside as though he's in a hockey arena with glass to bounce off of, but there was nothing there. He just stayed in somehow by some magical force. But now on scoring pass number 4, Ben Twilly and Neil Hilado trying to hold him in. Ben Twilly sends Ballistic Whistle spinning to the inside. He's got the recycle all the way right along with Yayun Man. Both jammers now approaching the pack, but Yayun Man on his initial pass. Ballistic Whistle on scoring pass number 4 gets past Roll Call and gets that 4th grand slam.
Shrooms is doing some magical stuff here with his hips to keep these jammers out. His first contact with the shoulder, then following up with secondary hits with the hips. Shrooms really playing out of his skin here in the final.
Little help from Shrooms opens up that outside lane, gets Ballistic Whistle through the 5th time, and a 5th grand slam. 25 points for Southern Discomfort.
High five between Ballistic Whistle and Shrooms. Very much appreciating Shrooms' fantastic work. Berserker as well, giving him another hug. I think a lot of people realize that Shrooms is really stepping up his game today as we have a timeout called here by Seuss. Those of you following on Twitter, Mr. Robert Quadriguez, he has posted himself a little selfie of his sad face. He's not happy about what's going on. I think he's sad for what happened to poor Matt Lovin. But we can't take any position on that at all. We're very impartial here, sat in the announcers.
Yeah, he's a very talented blocker, a critical player for the Silers, and they are definitely, as much as they might be motivated by that unexpected expulsion, they're going to be hurting without him. So I'm sure they are missing him.
I mean, they've been alternating the recyclist between Matt Lovin and Neil Halado, and the jams that aren't having Neil Halado recycling do appear to be missing something going on.
Empty penalty box though, 5-on-5, Machinist versus Monsieur Furio.
I've been corrected on the French pronunciation of that by Miami Vice. It's Furieux.
Furio.
It's a harder one because of the EUX.
Well,
My French isn't that good though.
I'm from New Orleans and we say Furio.
Fair enough. Machinist here taking lead jammer over Furio.
I will take that under advisement though. The Machinist now making some defensive posture. He's going to go ahead and call it off. He's going to try and block Monsieur Furio.
I only pass, like I said, I've got no languages other than English. To quote Bruce Willis, I speak English and bad English. As the Iron Man takes the jam line up against number 666, Reaper.
Well, I'm from New Orleans, I speak English and bad French. The Yayun Man versus Reaper. Reaper slipping up the inside. I saw Chronic moving to try and counter with a hip check, but Reaper too fast for him. Gets the lead jammer just like that. Yayun Man knocked out of bounds by Berserker, number 17 of Southern Discomfort.
Smile on the face from Chronic there as he realized he couldn't get enough on Reaper to knock him off on that apex jump. Good show of respect there by the blocker.
And Reaper must have greased himself up. He is slipping through like he's covered in oil or some other, well, I don't know what he's supposed.
Lubricant?
Oh, I thought you were going to be more specific than that, but yeah, that'll do it. No, he's just like grease lightning. Grease being an example of a lubricant, a specific lubricant. But Grand Slam number 3 for Reaper, and Yayun Man going to the penalty box yet again.
And this time for a cut track there on the Yayun Man as Reaper dances through the Sioux track, but goes down hard from Little John, who goes to the bin for a forearm. No, sorry, Chronic goes to the bin for the forearms.
I see that as the 3rd penalty for Yayun Man, and I seem to recall every single time it's been as jammer.
The Yayun Man is one of the dedicated jammers for Seuss here. And he's standing in the box as Chronic is having to retie his laces when he went to the box there. His skate's starting to come undone.
Yeah, in the previous games that the Silers played, the Yayun Man seemed to be more of a relief jammer, just coming in every 5th or 5th to 7th jam or so, not in the regular rotation. But this one, he has been on the jammer line on a regular basis. Ballistic Whistle getting through the Silers defense with ease this time, but now bounces off a hip check from Clark. Number 43 of the Silers gets recycled just a tad. Now runs into that same 3-waller, trying to set up a delta formation, but Flat Track Bully is having none of it. He's going to break that up, and before they can get it back reassembled, Ballistic Whistle shoots through, gets a grand slam, first scoring pass. Yayun Man still in the penalty box, so still a power jam. Ballistic Whistle on the second scoring pass, gets by Mark of the Beast. Now Clark putting up a fight at the front, but the head referee, Cherry Fury's arm goes up, indicating out of play, and he backs off. Ballistic Whistle is going to get his 2nd grand slam. Before Yayun Man gets out of the box, he's going to call it off.
Just to go to Twitter here, big shout out from Skateful Ted from Shrooms' previous home league, the Skateful Dead. Very impressed by Shrooms' work, loving his hips and rolls right now. He's going for gold apparently, and yep, I wholeheartedly agree. Shrooms is just playing out of his skin in this game, and Mikey is coming, loving Seuss, roll call rules, much love from Boss Bear, and I got a lot of love for roll call. He's been doing some fantastic work this weekend And once more coming from Coco D'Amour, referring to Reaper as a little ninja. Well, he is in skin-tight black lycra. There's nothing to him anyway, but he's slipping through every single gap, as is Miss Furio. Oh, a knee tap to avoid a block under the chronic.
Speaking of ninja, Monsieur Fury actually got down all the way to onto his knee, but did not touch Chronic as he slipped by. He just slid by on one knee and was able to get out. Now, I believe he had already gotten a legal pass on Chronic. He is lead jammer. But that was a slick move from Monsieur Furio, and he actually gave the crowd a little half smile because he knew he'd done something flash. Now a juke to the inside of Chronic. Chronic, it looked like he was moving through molasses next to Monsieur Furio. Monsieur Furio gets a grand slam, first time through.
Big shout from Danny Sims, also known as Raven Buster. SDRD, 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 bully! Everyone loves the SDRD chant. Big hit from Clark, but not enough to knock out Furio.
And that was a whirling dervish. Monsieur Furio just spinning around, and that just slips him by 2 blocks from 2 different blockers. Clark, the last line of defense on that previous score pass, now on scoring pass number 3. Brought to a standstill by Lil Jon. Yayun man backing him up, but now Monsieur Furio gets by Clark, slips a shoulder check from Chronic. Just hits the front of the pack enough to complete the pass, calls it off. Another grand slam. 15 points for Southern Discomfort.
Penalty box clear as Reaper and the Machinist are lined up to jam. Reaper moving for position as the Machinist takes middle control, runs straight into Spectral and Bully.
The Machinist trying to dig his shoulder into the center of the 4-wall at the back. That 4-wall is Roland Stoner, Spectral Aberration, Flat Track Bully, and Samdroid. But Samdroid gets a cutting the track. Not a common call on blockers, but he's going to the penalty box for that. Hayes of the Silers also going to the penalty box. And there goes Flat Track Bully, an empty penalty box at the start of the jam, and just like that, 1, 2, 3 blockers going straight in. Reaper, the double hop across the apex, gets him by, and gets him by the Machinist as well. It's going to be his second scoring pass for Reaper. 9 points so far, 4 points for the Machinist. And Reaper gets up the inside. Clark nowhere near. So another 4-point pass, 13 points so far for Southern Discomfort. The Machinist on his second scoring pass runs into Spectral Aberration, who almost starts pushing him backwards, but of course backs off to avoid a clockwise block. But the Machinist in a tangle of Southern Discomfort skaters. Samdroid, Spectral Aberration, and Roland Stoner send him spinning, but Machinist somehow staying in bounds, walking the tightrope. But he will only get 4 points for that second scoring pass, total of 8, whereas Reaper getting another grand slam, bringing him up to 18 points for Southern Discomfort.
Southern Discomfort, they always like to show up for the big games of finals, and I wholeheartedly agree here with Max saying that this SDRD just looked all pumped up for this. That's Max there on Twitter. A couple of shouts out as well from Goldilocks. She's saying that we're doing a good job today, Bulldog. As are all the announcers here this weekend. As well, we've got Deborah Moriarty. She's loving seeing the Seuss boys, as well as her esteemed leader, Ben Twilley, the head coach of the Ladies Welsh Roller Derby team. And the Hell Wolf is just hoping that Seuss can get their heads together. And like I said, losing the player early in a game can really disrupt your mentality as the game's going on. Seuss here picking up a lot of penalties. Obviously, Matt Lovin has been expelled. They've got 1 player on 2, 2 players on 4 penalties. And only 1 player from SDRD is on 4 penalties. You may be able to hear is SDRD's Samdroid is getting happy birthday sung to him by Smashlin Monroe. You may have heard me earlier. It's his 28th birthday today, and he's here getting cheered on by the crowd on his birthday. So as I said, it's half time. We'll be back with you in about 12 minutes. The action will start in about 13 minutes. And we'll be going to some messages from our sponsors.
Flat Track Bully. Number 515 Piston Broke. Number 6283 Spectral Aberration. Number 666 Reaper. Number 9 Ounce Herbie-licious. Number MI6 Ballistic Whistle. Number X111 Nanaki. That is Southern Discomfort Roller Derby's roster. For the South Wales Silliers, we have number 117 Roll Call, number 1337 Matt Lovin, number 19 Farron Samidi, number 218 Mark of the Beast, number 2828 Finch of Fury, number 3 Hayes, number 337 Elder Lee, number 36 Ben Twilly, number 43 Clark, number 7 Neil Halato, number C4 Chronic, number FE26 Yayun Man, number 254 The Machinist, and number 2x4 Lil John. That rounds out the South Wales Silliers, but as we mentioned before, if you were watching the first half, you saw that Matt Lovin, number 1337, was expelled midway into the first half.
Coming from Twitter here, Troublemaker 909. It has been decided Furio and Reaper are robots covered in lubricated flubber that have done a few football running drills.
Lubricated flubber.
That
would not have occurred to me as a lubricant.
I believe there's a skater here skating for Toulouse called flubber.
Or did he say lubricated flubber? Oh, wow, that would...
What would explain
that would be...
them. Yeah, that would explain their entire antics.
That would be something else. Well, we're going to start out the second half with an empty penalty box once again. So 5-on-5 on the track. Monsieur Furio lined up for Southern Discomfort in the black jerseys, and in the gray jerseys, the Silliers, with Yayun Man taking the star.
Penalties have been thick and fast for the Seuss team here in the first half. I have a sneaky suspicion we may see a fair few foul outs later today. Not something we like to see in the sport, but I think it's something we have to expect may happen.
Whistle is blown for the first jam of the second half. Mr. Furio blasts away and slips right between Elderly and Lil John, getting lead jammer less than 5 seconds into the second half. Yayun Man trying to do the same thing between Sutton Impact and Piston Brook, but Shrooms has something to say about it. But Yayun Man somehow slips that shoulder check too and gets out, completing his initial pass. Now trying to catch up to the pack, but Mr. Furio turns around. He's knocked out of bounds, does not complete the pass. He's going to settle for 3 points, but called it off before Yayun Man could match any of that.
Machinist and Reaper here lining up for both teams. Reaper in the black, obviously, Machinist in the gray. Penalty box still empty. I'm almost a little bit shocked that it survived one jam without getting another penalty called. Walker heading into Crewe, something I believe with head referee Cherry Fury. He's now going back to his bench. The Seuss having the back line as Machinist trying to charge through on Clarkey and finds some space on the inside, but Reaper finds space around the outside, takes lead jammer.
Wide open outside lane, and Reaper had no trouble slipping through. Didn't even need to use any of that lubricant. Now comes in, and again, too fast on the outside. Clark giving chase, but too little too late. Can't even catch Reaper as he gets a grand slam for a scoring pass.
It's difficult enough stopping Reaper with 4 blockers, but when you only use 3 on defense, you're really shooting yourself in the foot when you're going against a man of his skill.
But Reaper and the Machinist both knocked out of bounds, drawn back all the way to turn 2. Machinist going against Spectral Aberration, now dodges to the inside where he finds a 3-wall. Which is better, one Spectral Aberration or a 3-wall of Roland Stoner, Flat Track Bully, and Sam Droid? I don't know which one a jammer would find more fearsome, but I suspect when you combine those two, it's exactly what we're seeing now. Machinist now looking like, I don't know if you've ever seen American football, but they have these sleds that they push on in training, and that's exactly what the Machinist just looked like when he leaned into Spectral Aberration. But Reaper getting through the pack, the Southern Discomfort jammer putting a 5th grand slam on the board, just getting through this pack effortlessly and starting out the second half with a bang. 5 of them so far.
Reaper taking a knee there after the hit, I believe, from Ben Twilley. Slowing down a little bit. I'm seeing a little bit of calling penalties from the track, from the players. Not something I like to see personally as both a skater and an announcer. I think it's just it shows a little bit of an assumption on what's going on. Personally, I prefer if the skaters wait for the referees to what they saw and telling the referees what they thought happened. But as we see here, we've got Ballistic Whistle lining up against Ben Twilley. Ben Twilley here coming straight back on after blocking in the last jam.
And Reaper actually got 26 points, a late report, but he did get 1 point off the back of the pack before that last jam ended, so 26 points. Ballistic Whistle falling over Neil Hilado, but gets a back block call. Ballistic Whistle, that is, going to the penalty box. So a power jam for Ben Twilley of the South Wales Silures.
Excellent work by Chronic there, stopping flat track bully, running Ben Twilley further back there. Good work by the powerful blocker for Seuss.
Sudden impact, repeated shoulder checks. That Seal Club shoulder check from an inverted position, but he's he's knocked out of position by Chronic. Ben Twilley has to get around flat track bully and Shrooms, and he does so, claiming lead jammer on the way out. First scoring pass now, the pack frozen at the top of turn 3, now in motion. Lil Jon trying to break up the 4 walls. Screens piston broke out of the way, but Ben Twilley now running into a 2-wall of sudden impact and flat track bully. They get him out of bounds, but he only has to back up a little bit. Now on the outside, sudden impact, just catching him in time and just teetering on the edge for about 3 seconds before finally giving in and falling out. But the jam is called off anyway by Ben Twilley. He's going to get 1 more point on that scoring pass. Ballistic Whistle gets 2.
Just an update here from the previous game. The Time of Fear blocker Bob Om, he took a nasty knock there and has a possible shoulder injury. He's going to the fracture clinic in the morning because there's not any clear indication of what's wrong with him. We suspect, I think, a collarbone issue. But he'll be back here just for the awards. It's always nice to see, nice of devotion to come and pick up their medals. And
the Silures score was adjusted to 2 points in that last jam, so it was actually a tie, 2-2. Mr. Furio muscled out of bounds by the roll call, but then he goes to the inside lane, tries to leap a little across the infield, but falls down. He tapped out of bounds and had to back up behind roll call again. Now taking another run at it. Roll call stays in front, backed by Hayes. And a tandem block sends Monsieur Furio to the ground, but Farron Samidi gets a penalty. That's the jammer for the Silures, going to the penalty box for cutting the track. Roll call also going to the penalty box, so Chronic left alone to try and stop Monsieur Furio.
Yeah, roll call there, picking up a second penalty and insubordination. Not sure the details. That was driven by outside partner of Glenn Morangry.
So that's trouble for the Silures. Clark returning to the pack. He was in the penalty box. Mr. Furio coming around for a second scoring pass.
For those who are old hat roller derby, we're used to minute-long penalties, so they'll have a roll call there serving the full minute. And sat back getting some much-needed rest, no doubt.
Okay, and just another correction. That actually was only 1 point in that last jam. The scoreboard has been corrected, so that was just a small scoring error on the scoreboard, not by the official scorekeepers. But this time it is indeed 2-2 in that last scoring pass. But that was only 2 points for the Silures. That was points number 11 and 12 for Monsieur Furio of Southern Discomfort.
Southern Discomfort really starting to run away with this here in the second half. 221 to Seuss's 34. I really don't think Seuss have an answer for this jamming and the offensive blocking being displayed here by Southern Discomfort, as well as the very, very effective recycling and defensive work coming from skates to Shroom, Spectral Aberration, Sudden Impact. I believe there was a shout out that all of the Southern Discomfort players here are really pulling out here and are pumped up for this, and it is really showing on track.
Reaper slips by Lil Jon and Chronic to the inside. Elderly trying to catch him, but Sudden Impact keeping that inside lane open, but he gets a penalty. Sudden Impact, that is. That drops Southern Discomfort down to 3 blockers as Roland Stoner returns to the pack, but Reaper doing it all on his own. Takes a giant leap across the infield and calls it off. 4 points Southern Discomfort.
Lovely to see both Chronic and Elderly applauding the agility put on display here by Reaper in landing that apex drop, as he was blocked by, I believe, Chronic in midair and still managed to readjust, land it, and stay upright. Fantastic display there by the Team England jammer. Just have a look for this time out as a wet patch. As is often the case when it comes to men's derby, when men hit the floor, sweat patches get left. And there's been a lot of skaters hitting the deck here today.
A sweat slick the size of a man.
Yep, there was a unfortunate slippage by Ben Twilley coming out of corner 4 in the last jam. Derby Store UK is saying that they've unfortunately had to leave at half-time. Oh, poor guys. But they are thanking Newcastle for hosting them in this lovely, lovely cup. Derby Store UK been fantastic here in all weekend, helping out every skater with all sorts of information and merchandise needs.
4-on-3 pack. Sudden impact still in the penalty box for Southern Discomfort. But the machinist, and insult to injury, he was just over the line of no return, has to take that extra long run to the penalty box. Cutting the track on the Silier's jammer, but there it is, a forearm penalty on Ballistic Whistle, so we'll have a jammer swap out. Ballistic Whistle will sit down. He takes a little extra pause just to see, just to see if he could trick the machinist into jumping the gun and potentially getting an illegal procedure. But the machinist, a savvy player, gets into the pack and just slices right through. Ballistic Whistle comes off of the penalty box, a shortened penalty, but machinist is in on his first scoring pass and blasting away, almost knocks Sudden Impact off of his feet. But Roland Stoner, great effort in Spectral Aberration catching him, but the machinist bouncing off of both of them comes through for 4 points.
Machinist there showing some guts and determination to ride every one of those hits, picking up much needed points for South Wales.
Not going to happen this time, though. Spectral Aberration and Roland Stoner catch him with the hip check and connect solidly, forcing him out of bounds. Now as the machinist once again doing a football sled, that's an American football sled, on the Spectral Aberration, and somehow pushing number 6283 further and further into the track. That's a lot of leg power is what I'm saying.
4 arms penalty called there, I believe, on flat track. Bully for a no pass, no penalty. Sorry, so 4 points for the machinist. Powers through Spectral, the machinist, putting that power on display, knocking the big man down.
It was a star pass. Roland Stoner, the pivot for Southern Discomfort, now the jammer. He's going to get 3 more points on that last scoring pass, bringing Southern Discomfort to 7 points for the jam. But the machinist powering through with 11 points for the Silers.
Machinist being cheered on by Beware Wolf. Go on, coach, coming there, cheering on her coach. And always nice to see Robert Rodriguez asking to send all the love there to Bob. Roll call is now on 6 penalties. He is 1 away from fouling out. That could be very, very troublesome if he does go, as he is, as I've said before, the heart and soul of Seuss. I was talking earlier with my colleagues, and I did say that roll call does seem to bleed the blue and grey of Seuss. And I wouldn't be surprised if he actually did.
Roll call standing in the penalty box for the Silers. Flat track Bully for the Southern Discomfort sitting in the penalty box. 3-on-3 in the pack. Monsieur Furio, number 13 in the black for Southern Discomfort, wearing the star against the Yayun man, number FE26 in the gray for the South Wales Silers. Both jammers shoulder to shoulder. Monsieur Furio actually moving defensively, shoring up that 4 wall while Flat Track Bully is in the penalty box. But the Yayun man gets out first, lead jammer over Monsieur Furio. Monsieur Furio catches him coming out of turn 4, hip checks him on the straightaway. Yayun man calls it off, but great effort by the Salier's jammer. Monsieur Furio having no trouble, though, catching him before he completes the lap and moves into scoring position. So 0-0 in that jam. Southern Discomfort with one blocker in the penalty box. It's piston broke now. 4-on-3 pack advantage for the Silers. Baron Samedi, number 19 for the Silers against Reaper, finding a wide open outside lane. That is the second time I've seen him. Now, Mark of the Beast was there, but I don't think he saw him in time. Was not able to connect. Reaper lead jammer. Now on a scoring pass. All four Silers with flat track bully of Southern Discomfort trying to break up their wall, but doing a good job of slowing down Reaper, but not stopping him. He's got the Grand Slam number 1 in his pocket. Baron Samedi gets hip checked by Roland Stoner, but staggers through the turn without going out of bounds. He completes his initial pass, but still a full lap behind Reaper. Reaper gets through a second time. 4 more points for Southern Discomfort, and no joy for the Silers. 9 points for Southern Discomfort, though.
Just to let you know, Juice Wheels are sponsoring the tournament awards at the Men's Euro Cup. That's going for Juice Wheels, and the winners of the single tournament Best Jammer, Best Blocker, and MVP will be winning a set of Martini Series Juice Wheels. Martini Series features a dual port in the urethane core, allowing a running surface of the wheels remaining contact for the floor longer. We've been discussing this all afternoon, and it's pretty much been nailed down now who it's going to be, but there's always a chance for these skaters to wow us with 17 minutes remaining.
Nanaki jamming for only the second time for Southern Discomfort. Apparently having recovered from that beating he took on the first time. This time not running into Chronic, both skaters going down, but they both picked themselves back up. Now Nanaki getting knocked around at the back of the pack by Ben Twilley. The Yayun man, the Silers jammer, recycling shrooms, holding up his hand saying, "You got to get behind me," but then gets clobbered by Mark of the Beast, freshly returned from the penalty box. And that means the Yayun man got in clean, but knocked out again by Blitzkrieg this time. Calls off the jam, though, for 3.
Lola Costa is just here on Twitter saying, "My love and admiration for Seuss rose every time I watched them play. Go on, the lads." And who wouldn't? They're really putting it all out here today. And the Men's Roller Derby Association recently, Seuss became recently part of the MRDS, the Men's Roller Derby Association, and they're proud to be back in this inaugural Men's European Cup. Wishing all teams the best of luck, and I think Seuss are going to need it here as they are trailing 48 points to 241 as we have an official timeout. Looks like there's going to be sorting out a couple more things. It looks to be okay. 5-second call here.
Jam has started. Mr. Furio back and forth with a 3-wall, stopping his progress now. Powering forward, but the Silers blockers managing to hold on until turn 2, and Mr. Furio blasts off. He's lead jammer. The machinist jamming for the Silers, knocked down, and no, he's not sent to the penalty box. Briefly thought that he believed he was being sent to the penalty box, but this time he really is getting sent to the penalty box for a back block.
All confusion there for the machinist.
But Monsieur Furio already in the box, so it's going to be a swap out. Monsieur Furio release. The machinist is only going to serve about 10 seconds, a shortened penalty, the same amount of time that Monsieur Furio had already served of his 30-second penalty. But the pack at a standstill at the top of turn 3 as Monsieur Furio rejoins, goes sliding across, skimming the surface. He's going to complete the pass for 5.
Roll call just fouled out there as he picked up his 7th penalty. He's going to escalate away from the track as the machinist tries to find some space past Herbie, but Herbie does get the cut track on the machinist. He's heading to the bin again.
Monsieur Furio on his 3rd scoring pass already has 10 points, 2 grand slams. The machinist back in the penalty box. This is his 2nd penalty during the jam. Monsieur Furio already served 1, so 3 jammer penalties total in the jam thus far. Monsieur Furio with kind of a casual back and forth, and then slams his shoulder into Clark and slips by. Grand Slam number 3.
The machinist here, this second penalty, this jam means he's now on 5 in total. He's in hot water as well, as we've just seen roll call go earlier this jam.
Time runs out in the jam. Monsieur Furio is going to get, he did get 4 Grand Slams, 20 points total. The machinist coming up empty.
Yes, Simon Trina is Clockwork Droid, putting on a fantastic display as a jam referee here today. Been some great communication. We're also going to have a little bit of timeout here whilst Cherry Fury discusses things with the Seuss bench. And whilst that's going on, let's talk about Ennui skate gear. Ennui is a new concept of protective gear specifically designed for alternative sports and all non-motorized wheeled sports. Designed and run by skaters, our aim is to create a protective gear that would wear ourselves. Products that keep us safe and protect our bodies against all sorts of injuries while at the same time being unobtrusive and comfortable. That's Ennui skate gear. We were discussing that with Little Joker earlier today, or Yves Omoy as he's more commonly known these days. I believe this is going to be available at all major retailing places for skate gear. I'm not too sure if it's being specially done there. I didn't get that confirmation. But it's probably available maybe at skates.co.uk. Skates.co.uk is a derby-owned online store that sells everything you need, whether you're a freshman or a seasoned pro, with complete skates, wheels, protection, and more. They've got you covered. Still looks like there's this official review ongoing, conversation in the middle. Little John and Elderly trying to get a go at the jam time to get the arms swinging up and have some fun. I think the Seuss guys have established they're probably not going to win this game. They're just going to try and enjoy the experience for them. Chronic there smiling on track, and his teammates Little John and Elderly all smiling and having fun.
But that was some good synchronization in their official timeout dance.
If you're aware, Little John and Berserker are teammates at an international level, both skaters for Team Wales, as are most of Seuss, really. But also Little John used to skate for Sudden Discomfort, if you missed that earlier. Fantastic skater, a lovely, lovely gentleman he is. And if you've enjoyed this wonderful experience watching at home here on the stream, please help us to keep providing these high quality feeds by heading over to derbyduckproductions.co.uk and hitting that donate button. Every penny you donate goes towards letting us put on these fantastic displays of men's derby and women's derby throughout the UK. And who doesn't want to see things like this, you know, if they can't make it themselves? The New World Order have a lot of close ties to Skate for Dead and shrooms, and they love shrooms.
They are saying they want shrooms.
Who doesn't want shrooms?
They love shrooms and they want shrooms.
Well, who wouldn't? He's a lovely, lovely young man. I think he's not even 20 years old yet. He's one of those wonderful young skaters we have here in the UK, along with Sully of LRT, who are just going to be world class as these days go on. Whilst this is still ongoing, let's have a shout out to Queens of the Sin Bin, official merchandise sponsors of the Men's European Cup. For all your custom derby clothing, whether you're a skater, official or fan, Queens of the Sin Bin can meet your demands. Go visit them at queensofthesinbin.com. I've had the pleasure of dealing with them a little bit earlier today, picking up some sample shirts from my league to take home and pick out some sizes. There'll be some things we need here, you know, high quality skate gear. Who doesn't want that in their lives? Still ongoing conversations in the middle. Cherry Fury now heading here towards the Seuss bench.
Okay, we've got Hayes. Well, he's strapping on his helmet, which is somewhat good news. That means he's not expelled, or probably not.
Elderly is taking a seat in the bin. This will be to serve out, I believe, the remaining time possibly for roll call, who fouled out in the last jam. I think. So much has been going on.
That is Elderly. I was referring to Hayes, who's at the team bench.
Hayes is just getting ready for the next jam.
Okay, well, it looked like that's who head referee Cherry Fury was speaking to, along with Billy Pistol, the bench manager, or actually I think the head coach for the South Wales Silers. But Reaper having no difficulty getting lead jammer. Now getting very low and ducking under a hip check from Chronic. He's going to get through for 5. Neil Hilado getting knocked down by Berserker. Both skaters collapsing on the infield, with Berserker getting a penalty.
Berserker living up to his name there as Chronic hits the big shoulder check on Reaper at corner 3. And Bent Willie getting Reaper with the outside again at corner 3 and recycling him back.
Now, here's, I don't see anyone wearing the star for the South Wales Silers, and I'm looking in people's hands. There it is, I see it, Neil Hilado has the star in his hand. Okay, that's good, because for a second there I thought maybe they hadn't fielded anyone with a star, but I was sure they had someone lined up. But as I was watching the team bench over on the Silers when the jam started, but Neil Hilado taking over as jammer for the South Wales Silers, while Reaper runs rampant. But Reaper knocked to the infield, that's where he's casually recycling, now slowly calling off the jam. But Neil Hilado does not score any points for South Wales Silers, 10 points for Southern Discomfort.
Piston Broke taking the star here from the get-go, not a star pass. This Piston Broke is taking the jammer panty, ready to go. He has Rolling Stoner here as his pivot, just in case they're going to go for the quick pass over.
Piston Broke normally a blocker and a very tough bloke in the pack, but now he's going to go for speed and grace, and no, instead he's just going to knock everybody over to get through. But
there's no subtlety to Piston Broke's jamming.
None whatsoever. But the Yayun man did get lead jammer. He's on his first scoring pass, and he cuts.
My God!
That was Piston Broke leaping the infield. I didn't know he could jump, but he actually.
Oh my God! Piston Broke did an apex jump.
It wasn't graceful, but he did it. He did it.
I have seen it all. I believe anything will happen to Piston. NWO calling for Shrooms to jam now. And I wholeheartedly want to see that. Done some great work previously for Skateful Dead. Shrooms asking him to leave off. He doesn't want to jump. I'm still trying to get over Piston Broke's apex jump. That was amazing. He landed it. Oh.
He did. He didn't cut off a lot of the infield, but he actually caught some air. It's official. Piston Broke actually can jump the apex when he really wants to. But there he goes, Monsieur Furio, weaving his way through, rams into Elderly, knocked out of bounds, drawn back by Lil Jon. The Machinist drawn back by Berserker. Machinist, the Silers jammer, still on his initial pass. Monsieur Furio on a scoring pass behind Neil Hilado, but Neil Hilado gets, well, I believe that was a cutting the track. But the signal was flashed very quickly, and I was on the other side of the referee. And there goes Blitzkrieg on a penalty. So Southern Discomfort down 2 blockers now, including Shrooms. So that's got to be disappointing for the fans over. No Shrooms for you. But wait 30 seconds, we might have more. There goes Monsieur Furio, and avoiding altogether a shoulder check from Lil Jon. Lil Jon goes careening out of bounds. Monsieur Furio goes careening through the pack. That was Grand Slam number 2 for Southern Discomfort. Monsieur Furio going for the 3rd scoring pass. The Machinist on a Machinist shoulder counter checking Berserker to complete his pass. Gets 4 for the Silers. Monsieur Furio gets 2 more, a total of 12 for Southern Discomfort.
Quick shout outs from Twitter. Robin is saying number 5 on 5. That'll be Piston Broke. Boom! That is pretty much the noise he makes when he jams through a pack. Ian Harry Shotter says Piston is an apex jumping guard. And I wholeheartedly agree. And Kat's Lord is saying big hello to Blackpool Derby. She's cheering on Seuss, but she's got big love for Spectral. And Spectral is one of those lovely, lovely fellows you do get in men's derby. Quick shout out to some of our sponsors. Rydell Skates sponsoring the penalty box. Rydell Skates, unmatched quality, unmatched performance. Check them out at www.rydellskates.com. And speaking about Rydell Skates, guess who's lined up? It's Ballistic Whistle. He is a Rydell sponsored skater.
And the clock drops below 10 minutes, so we're at the bottom of the second half. The game drawing quickly to the... You want to break that?
They'll get it right. It's fine.
That's right. The game drawing quickly to the end. We've got 9 minutes 33 seconds frozen on the clock right now with an official timeout.
OPR's being called in here by Cherry Fury. Quick shout out for the 2014 Roller Derby World Cup in Dallas, Texas. That's the Blood and Thunder World Cup this December. 30 countries, 4 days, 3 tracks. Get your tickets online at rollerderbyworldcup.com. One of the tweets we got earlier today, we didn't get a chance to shout out. It was my good and dear friend, Mr. Robert Quadriguez. I believe it's talking about how Reaper doesn't really use gravity. Sometimes he just does it to humor us, which is probably true. He's barely human compared to the rest of us lowly skaters. But he is a lovely, lovely gentleman.
Baron Samedi jamming for the Silers against Ballistic Whistle of Southern Discomfort. Ballistic Whistle behind Mark of the Beast. Mark of the Beast holding position, but he gets picked off by Herbie Licious and Sam Droid. But Ballistic Whistle getting to the front of the pack only to run into Hayes Clark. And the pivot is Ben Twilly. There goes Baron Samedi, the lead jammer for the South Wales Silers. Ballistic Whistle finally fighting free of Hayes and Clark to complete his initial pass, but half a lap behind Baron Samedi. Baron Samedi slamming into the 2-wall at the front. Spectral Aberration, Roland Stoner holding solid. He calls off the jam. Only 2 points for Baron Samedi. Ballistic Whistle getting 3, so Southern Discomfort winning the jam by 1.
Lovely, lovely landing there from Ballistic Whistle. He could have gone sliding into, I believe it was Baron Samedi there, but fantastic skill displayed by the Southern Discomfort jammer, and sometimes blocker.
Reaper jamming, and there it is, a third time in this game. Good, gets just slipping up that outside lane. Yayun Man gets cutting the track. Sutton Impact.
Sutton Discomfort, yeah, I like it. Go with that.
Sutton broke. Now Sutton Impact, they're drawing the cut. And now Reaper on his own. Power jam for Southern Discomfort. Reaper already with a grand slam. Slips by Elderly for a second one.
Big shout outs coming here from Damien T. He's loved the enthusiastic comments. And Skateful Ted is also in big love with the refs and NSOs, the teams that always wins. Oh, Piston Broke not happy about Neil Halala there, indicating what he believed to be a dive, or as the US call it, a flop. We're over here in the UK and it's a dive to us, but nothing given. Cut track called on the Seuss jammer there, I believe. Yeah, it's a cut track. He's heading to the bin. The Iron Man.
Reaper flies by, but gets a cut track as well, so we'll have a jammer swap out. Piston Broke is standing in the penalty box, so very shortly the penalty box will be cleared of its current occupants. The Yayun Man returning to the track first. Reaper's going to serve about a 15 or 20 second penalty. Yayun Man finds the inside lane, just bounces off a hip check from Blitzkrieg and gets out. He's completed his initial pass now. First scoring pass for the Yayun Man, weaving his way through, but gets caught by Shrooms, knocked out of bounds. But Shrooms falls down, but Piston Broke is there to draw Yayun Man back. Reaper gets another grand slam. That's grand slam number 4.
Cut track called there. I believe that is on Finch. Yeah, Finch of Fury call for a cut track.
3 points for the South Wales Silers to 20 points for Southern Discomfort in that jam. 6 minutes left in the game. So not much time for the South Wales Silers to put more points on the board. Maybe they'll go for a triple digits.
Well, triple digits I think is a great thing to aim for. It'll be very difficult. I mean, Southern Discomfort are not holding back. They're not a team who ever would hold back. They're going to make you earn every single point. Looks like some little bit of management here coming from Cherry Fury.
Just the final few minutes of the game, but Southern Discomfort with this scoreboard well in hand. A sizable lead over the South Wales Silures.
A little bit of tracks for the horrific amount of sweat patches left here by falling skaters. No one likes to slip over and hurt themselves on the sweat patch left by one of these lovely young gentlemen. Once more, let's have a big shout out here for Queens of the Sin Bin. The Queens of the Sin Bin, the official merchandise sponsors of the Men's European Cup. For all your custom derby clothing, whether you're a skater, official, or fan, Queens of the Sin Bin can meet your demands. Go visit them at queensofthesinbin.com. The Iron Man is also on 6 penalties. And don't rush off after the final. Stick around for the closing ceremony and awards. Find out the all-star team, best blocker, best jammer, and tournament MVP.
With the clock frozen at 5 minutes 54, we've got time for at least 3 more jams.
Ballistic Whistle being asked to come and inspect a part of track on the straightaway nearest to the crowd. Not sure what they're looking for. I think there's something like a wet patches that were indicated, not too sure. Let's have a quick look here. Remember, this is the Men's European Cup 2014, and the Men's Royal Derby Association are proud to be back in this inaugural Men's European Cup, wishing all teams the best of luck. Now, most of the games here are going to be MRDA sanctioned games, which means they're going to be very important for the rankings. This is probably why Southern Discomfort will not let up here and will put up every point they can, because they're looking to break the top 8.
There's the 5-second call, ready to start the next jam. Mr. Furio versus Farron Samidi. Mr. Furio and Farron Samidi both back to front. But there goes Farron Samidi, catches the outside lane. Mr. Furio cut off, but escapes the 3-wall, gets around the outside, and he's lead jammer. Farron Samidi driven to the infield, has to recycle. Herbie Licious inverted, repeated shoulder checks, but Farron Samidi gets by, steps over Sam Droid, just bounces off a hip check from Roland Stoner, and that is a back block penalty on Farron Samidi.
Special heading to the box there. He's now joint top, shall I say, on the Southern Discomfort penalty board with 5 apiece with him and Bully. We go back to the action on track as Furio passes at corners 1 and 2, picking up 5 more points to Southern Discomfort.
Pack moving slowly around turn 2. 4-wall in the front of Silures blockers. They've got all 4 blockers out there, just no jammer. Monsieur Furios getting up the inside. And there goes Ben Twilley to the penalty box. 15 points for Southern Discomfort. And Monsieur Furio is going to call it off and freeze the jammer, Farron Samidi, in the penalty box. This accomplishes 2 things. That prevents the South Wales Silures from fielding a fresh jammer, and it also buys the next jammer for Southern Discomfort more time to get lead jammer.
Apologies there, Mr. Bulldog. It's Mark of the Beast joining in with the crowd, wanting Shrooms to jam. And I, as a fan, want to see it happen as well, as he is a friend of mine and he's a fantastic skater.
Ballistic Whistle going straight up the center to get lead jammer. Chronic going to the penalty box for South Wales. Joins Ben Twilley. It's only 2 blockers left on the track, but they do have a jammer. Farron Samidi, though, getting knocked out of bounds on the inside by Shrooms as Ballistic Whistle whizzes by. It's Grand Slam number 2. 10 points so far for Southern Discomfort in the jam. Farron Samidi facing a 4-wall. Piston broke sudden impact blitzkrieg, and now Shrooms dropping back to make that only a 3-wall up front, but still tough. And sudden impact and blitzkrieg driving him to the rear of the pack. Farron Samidi now sent spinning by a shoulder check from Shrooms. Has to start over from scratch. And another shoulder check from Shrooms. That's deja vu. Shrooms just is going to go for number 3. No, Farensamidi is going for the outside this time, and Shrooms picked off by Chronic, but there's that 2-wall waiting. Piston broke and Sudden Impact. Now Sudden Impact and Blitzkrieg. Now Shrooms and Blitzkrieg. Farensamidi at the front, but Sudden Impact comes out of nowhere, gets in front just as Farensamidi goes by the 2-wall. Now it's one-on-one though with Sudden Impact, and there's Ballistic Whistle out of nowhere. Just when Farensamidi sees daylight, Ballistic Whistle just comes by like a blur, knocks him out of bounds, and Farensamidi has to start all over again. Ballistic Whistle getting a huge shoulder check right to the sternum from Lil Jon, and a back block. He's going to the penalty box. It is, and he's going to have to go the long way too.
That means he's going to be serving a full 30 seconds in the bin, as long as the Seuss jammer doesn't pick up a penalty in this next jam. Whilst we're getting ourselves situated here, let's talk about Double Threat Skates, roller derby skate shop based in central London and run by London roller girls Kristen Lee and Gorgasm. Check them out at www.doublethreatskates.co.uk. I'm going to say this right now for those of you watching the feed, we all want to see Shrooms Jam right now. If you agree with me, let's say that in hashtag I want to see Shrooms Jam or something like that. Let Shrooms Jam. Let's go with that. He's been playing out his skin as a blocker, and I want to see him rack up some points for SDRD.
The time is very limited, and the machine is getting very low. Monsieur Furio blocking. He's the pivot for Southern Discomfort. Made last contact, but the machinist got by. He's lead jammer. And now on a scoring pass. Machinist to the inside. Spectral Aberration can't drive him out. Sam Droid can't get him either. The machinist gets a grand slam. Ballistic Whistle coming out of the penalty box, and now it is no longer a power jam, but Ballistic Whistle on his initial pass. A machinist just knocking Ballistic Whistle backwards into the rear of the pack, but Ballistic Whistle just carries the momentum forward and takes himself out of the pack, completing his initial pass. And there goes the machinist with a forearm penalty. He loses lead jammer status, and Ballistic Whistle now on a power jam.
That, I believe, is the machinist's 6th penalty there. 6th penalty being indicated on the board there from what I can see here. He still has one last chance. But I'd like to point out the Ballistic Whistle, as he came onto the track, was smiling to the machinist at the jam line. All smiles now at the end of this game here with just 25 seconds left on the clock.
And this will be the final jam. The lead jammer status was lost when the machinist went to the penalty box, and there is more time on the jam clock than there is on the period clock.
Beautiful footwork. No, not enough. The machinist now fouled out. It was his 7th penalty for the cut track there. His footwork was good, but not good enough.
That's right. The most beautiful pass can be destroyed by one ugly fact, and that fact is a track cut. And there goes Monsieur Furio now. The pivot Coom jammer, or is that jammer Coom pivot?
Pivot side jammer, who knows?
But that will end the game. 3 points on that last scoring pass, a total of 23 points for Southern Discomfort, 8 points for the machinist of the South Wales Silures, but that is not even close to enough points. Southern Discomfort's unofficial final, 370. South Wales Silures at 66. We're going to double check the arithmetic, but I think it's safe to say Southern Discomfort coming away with a win.
Well, it's the issue here. Southern Discomfort are generally a couple of steps ahead of most of the other European teams. They were always going to be favourites to win this tournament. We'll have something drastically wrong for that to change. They've come out here, though, to put on a display to the best of their ability, and they've done a fantastic job here playing their game their way. We're going to go to some adverts whilst they do their laps of honour. We'll be back with you after the adverts, probably with the awards ceremony and the closing speeches. So let's go to some ads right now.